Hello everyone, welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith. We're going to continue our playthrough of Legends of the Alliance, the app for Imperial Assault. Now where we left off in the last bit for this tutorial is we had these three Stormtroopers come out of the woodwork really from the forest area while we were waiting for this blast door to open. We were waiting for somebody to open this up so we could get out of here, but we're kind of trapped in that courtyard area, and Stormtroopers have now invaded into the area, so the Imperials are coming in. They've also hidden themselves behind some barricades here or some impassable areas, so we're going to have to find line of sight or get adjacent to these guys because they're using that wisely. So at this point the app's kind of letting us free, really it's letting us or allowing us to do our activations, but again you can see there's no mention of any heroes or figures of any kind on the actual map because we're doing all the tracking on our end and the app's just tracking the turns at this point. So now we can actually get into some kind of combat type situations. So we might as well start with activating one of our individuals. So we still have Garkin here and we still have a Jin. Now remember though, in the case of this tutorial, we're still not using their abilities. So I know there's some people that have been like, hey, let's start using abilities. I'm not going to use them just yet. I want to keep things simplistic because this is really our first attempt at really a battle. The target practice didn't really have too much coming back at us, whereas these guys are going to make attacks against us. So I want to show you how that's going to resolve. So let's get to it. We'll probably activate Garkin first, so Garkin will start it off, and maybe I'll have Garkin actually get as close as possible to somebody because he is a melee character with that symbol right there on the vibro axe. So I'll just bring this up a little closer so you guys can see it. So you can see right beside the red and yellow square, you've got the little melee symbol there. Of course, we got his surge abilities and things like that, so he'll be trying to use that when he gets up close. So let's get him moving. Now he has a speed of 4, so when I activate his movement, I've got quite a bit of movement I can do. I could even send him all the way over here. I can send him over here. Tough choice. I'm gonna probably go and say let's move Garkin this way. Let's have him go 1, 2, and stop here. Let's have him stop right on the edge there, mainly because if this Stormtrooper was to activate, at least from where his current position is, in terms of drawing line of sight, he could actually hit those two corners and go through and get me. But again, remember, line of sight can't pass through other figures. So we'll figure that out once we get to it, but for now, I'm activating first, so I'm going to be going ahead and making an attack against this guy right here. So let's do that. Let's make an attack. So I've made my movement. I've done 2 movement. Now you'll realize I'm breaking up my movement because I haven't completely used it all yet. So I still have 2 movement afterwards. I could even run back around, that type of thing. But for now, let's do our 1 attack. We're using the vibro axe and we're going up against this Stormtrooper right here. Let's see how it goes. I got 1 black die to represent the Stormtrooper's black defense die. See what happens. All right, so we got ourselves, and again, we totally ignore range when we're going for an adjacent attack, so the 2 doesn't matter. We did get 2 hits against them, so that's good. We didn't get any surge icons, so we can't use any of our abilities here to beef up our attack. But sadly, the Stormtrooper actually had 2 defense, so was able to completely block the entire attack. So that first attack by him was a complete and utter fail. So I'm going to have to move him now to get him out of range of this. So I'm going to put him, I'm going to go 1 and I'm going to go 2. I'm going to keep him around the corner because I want to be close, but I kind of want to pull the Stormtrooper out and maybe go after him after he gets out there. So I'll leave him there for now. His first activation is done. Now, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, we do get 2 activations each. So we'll get to activate twice before the Stormtroopers do. So maybe I won't do that. Maybe I'll just leave him here because we know we get, on the next activation, I'll be able to, well, I could attack twice. Yeah, let's do that. I'll stay where I am. I'll stay where I am, and I've knocked over the blast door. All right, so we're going to end his activation for right now. We're not using the rest of his movement. I'm just choosing not to use that last 2. It says, did you manage to take out a Stormtrooper? When the entire group's defeated, inform the app by selecting the icon. So right up here, we just click this when we actually are done killing them off and letting the app know that we've killed off the group. Heroes can be defeated as well, so when a hero suffers damage equal to its health, that hero becomes wounded. Remove all damage tokens from the hero's sheet, flip the sheet over to the wounded side, and then select the hero's portrait in the app and use the button to the left to inform the app the hero was wounded. So when someone gets wounded, you're going to flip your card over to the opposite side and your stats are going to change and it's a totally different background, things like that. So, and you're also going to inform the app, it says. Now, this is what I was mentioning in the prior video. It says, note that each hero has +10 next to its portrait. That's like up there in the top left. So this indicates that hero has an extra 10 health because we're playing with 2 players. Really important to remember that, because otherwise you're going to kill yourself off a lot earlier than normal. All right, so it says, take out those stormtroopers fast, Lieutenant Talcon orders via the comlink. Continue performing hero activations until the stormtrooper group is defeated. So really at this point, they're not going to open the blast doors until we clear up the stormtroopers. That's thematically what makes sense. They wouldn't want to, open themselves up to an attack. So we've got to clear this out before they let us in. So we can continue on. We've already blued out or ended the activation for one of Garkin's, so we'll have to go over to Jyn now. I'm going to probably have Jyn maybe attack this guy instead, because remember, line of sight can't be drawn through other figures. So I can't put her back here and have her somehow be able to hit the stormtrooper. So we're going to have to basically, move her in a way that makes sense for her. We want to get her as close as possible so that she has a higher chance of actually killing off a stormtrooper. But we also want to keep her behind cover too. When she activates, she gets 5 speed. So we're going to take her and go 1, 2, and maybe 3. Might as well get as close as possible so we can guarantee a hit. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't just get right up close and personal. So this is going to be a fairly easy one. We just need 1 on range, which is almost a guarantee. And of course, the Stormtrooper is rolling a black die, so we got to make sure we use the black die for the Stormtrooper. And what do we get? Good. Not as much blocking. Lots of damage, it looks like. So we got 3 hits, a surge, and 1 defense. Now, if we use the surge on the vintage blaster, you can see we can use it for an additional hit. So we're going to do that. It's going to give us a total of 4 hits. We have 3 range, and of course we're adjacent anyway, but she is using a ranged attack, so we still needed that 1 range, which we got out of 3. So we have 4 damage total using the surge to add the extra damage, and the 1 block knocks it down to 3. The Stormtroopers have a health of 3, as noted right even here on their deployment card. So this Stormtrooper has been killed off. That's awesome. That's 1 less individual to deal with, so that's perfect. Well done, Jyn. So now we'll put this black die back, and essentially she's done her, she did her, let's see, 1, 2, 3 movement. She technically has 1 more movement, but it'd be better for her to be in a position to attack again on the next turn and maybe make multiple attacks. So let's use her last movement point. Actually, she has a speed of 5, I forgot that, and we were here, so we went 1, 2, 3. So I could move to here, for instance, and that would give me a safe shot on both these guys. Maybe we can take them both out on the next turn. So let's go ahead and end her activation. And again, it says remember each hero has 2, so we've already remembered that, and we're going to go right into it trying to knock these guys off the map right away. So it should be fun. So let's activate Jyn first. She's on a roll. Let's try to see if we can take out the Stormtrooper. So same thing, defensive die for the Stormtrooper. 2, we're shooting with the vintage blaster. So we'll see what we get here, and hopefully we get enough damage to kill it off. And it looks like we're probably going to do it. We did, yeah. So it looks like we got the range we needed, 2. We only had a 1 distance there anyway. We got 1, 2, 3 on the hits. We use a surge for an additional hit off the card for the vintage blaster, just like the last attack, which gives us 4 hits. The Stormtrooper blocks 1 of those, 3 get through, and this Stormtrooper has just been killed. Now Jyn still has another attack. I can do something else on her activation here. I could shoot again. Because she started her turn there, so she has the opportunity to do something else. So I could even have Jyn essentially lean out and take a pot shot at this guy, which could help out Garkin when he activates. So let's do that. Now, in order to draw a line of sight, let's just do a quick check, and we know this is probably going to be valid, but if we go from this corner, I can see corner to corner there, and I can also am allowed legally to draw a line straight down along the red borders. So I can peek out essentially and take a shot at that Stormtrooper, no issue. So let's do it. Let's try to weaken him for Garkin. Or kill him. So Jyn is absolutely cleaning up. So again, oh no, and this is the first time where things get a little interesting for you guys. So it was kind of an attempt to kill, but this is the first time that accuracy is going to fail me. So as you can see here, when you draw, when you're actually choosing how, or not choosing, but calculating how far your accuracy needs to be in order for it to be valid, you need to go for the shortest route between the hero and the enemy you're targeting, as if you were moving towards it. So if I was trying to move to his space, I'd be going diagonal and then 1, 2, 3. So essentially it's 1, 2, 3, 4. I need a total of 4 accuracy for this hit to land. Problem is I only got 2, so I didn't get enough. Now the other thing is I'm looking at the surge icon, and I'm also looking at her ability. It says you can add an accuracy, so that would get me up to 3, but it's still just 1 short of what we need to hit the Stormtrooper. So in essence, even though the Stormtrooper rolled a block, this entire attack does nothing. So it's not going to actually hit at all. I would have had to have moved closer to do it, but then if I'd have moved, I wouldn't be able to attack. So we took a chance essentially to try to take a little bit of damage off him, and it didn't work out. But you know, there's always another time. So Now what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to take this Stormtrooper out and hope that we can actually do it with Garkin. So we'll end her Jin's activation now. She's done, and it says don't forget to defeat the Stormtrooper group in the app if you've defeated them on the map. Do this by selecting the group's icon. So it's exactly the same reminder as before. Come back to Garkin, who's adjacent. Now he gets 2 attacks against this guy, so this is perfect. I should be able to do this, and I probably just jinxed myself by saying that. Let's see. Ooh, not bad. So we got our 3 hits. I have no surges, 2 blocks, so 1 hit gets through. Oh, this is going to be really close. So again, we'll just put a damage marker right beside him there. So we were able to make 1 hit against him, and we're rolling again for the second attack, hoping, that was not what I meant to, hoping that we can actually end this. So here we go. What do we get? Oh, that's a nice hit. So let's see here. We got a surge as well. We got 2 blocks. So essentially 1 damage is going to come through regarding this. It's really all about our surge. Can our surge give us anything extra? So Pierce 1. Let's take a look at that. What does Pierce 1 do? Well, you can take a look at your reference card. There's a really handy little reference keyword card here. And you can see Pierce. Ignore a number of blocks equal to the Pierce value. Let's do that. So what that's going to do is if we activate this surge using his Vibroaxe, we're using Pierce 1. Pierce 1 allows us to ignore one of the symbols on this die, which then makes this and this combined. This really is more so like, it would be like this. So we'd have 3 hits against 1 defense, which means 2 damage gets through. And the range part of the 2 doesn't matter on this die anymore. It's 2 hits coming through on the Stormtrooper, plus the 1 is 3. We just killed all the Stormtroopers off in all of our activations, and they didn't even get a chance to fight back. So that's awesome. We totally completed it. Now, what I'm going to do before I end my activation, and this is really something important to remember, before you end Garkin's activation, you always want to remember, if you happen to wipe an entire group off the map, especially when you're near the end of all your activations, you're just about to say, oh yeah, my turn is done. Make sure that you actually end off the group first before you do this ending of your activation, because as you'll notice, if I was to end Garkin's activation right now, the app would then go into round 2, and it can do something similar to Mansions of Badness, where it can throw in kind of a round 2 punishment, almost like saying, you're taking too long to kill these guys, here's something else bad that's going to happen. So you don't want to forget that, so we want to go here first and say that we've defeated the Grey Stormtroopers. That way we don't get that round 2 coming up faster than it should be. So it says, good work taking out those bucket heads. Lieutenant Talkin says over the comm link, your skills are improving quickly. You've just earned fame. Fame is a measure of how well you are known across the galaxy. The higher your fame, the more resources the Rebel Alliance will provide you, but the more effort the Empire will put into taking you out. Fame is earned primarily by defeating enemy groups, achieving mission objectives, and completing missions. Very cool. All right. More Imperial forces are on the way. I am unlocking the gate to the base grounds. Get inside to help with the evacuations. The door is now unlocked. When a hero is adjacent to the door, that hero can interact with the door to open it by selecting the door token in the app. So now the next objective is simply just to open the door. So it's going to go back to us, really. We have to actually play this out. So we know Garkin is now done his activation and stuff like that, so now we can actually end his turn. We'll get a fresh new round. And it says right here, minor peril. The oppressive jungle heat saps your strength. Each hero suffers 1 damage. This is a peril effect. So we're going to take this damage. There's no way you can block it. It's just a game effect. Very much like I said, Mansions of Madness. It just adds to a little bit of pain for you. So I'm going to actually convert the 5 damage now that Garkin has into a 5 value. So we just don't have that many chips sitting on his cards. And you can put these anyway. They don't have to be on his card, but it looks okay on this, so I'm going to go with that. So we got 5 on him and 1 on Jin. All right, so I'll come over here. Again, it says it's a peril effect. You will encounter effects like this at various points during the mission. The longer you take to complete the mission, the worse these effects will be. All right, so we're going into round 2 now. Okay, during a normal round, the Rebels and Imperials take turns activating. The round begins when the activation of a hero or ally chosen by the players, followed by an Imperial group chosen by the app. Activations pass back and forth until all heroes, allies, and Imperial groups have activated. Choose and activate a hero now. So we're just really right back to us controlling things. Remember, our main objective right now is just to get to this blast door and open it. So we can activate a hero. I think we'll take Jin, because Jin actually has a speed of 5. She could probably make it to the door on her activation. So she can go 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, she can go 1, 2, 3, 4. She can be at the door. And then for her second activation, she's going to crack that door. So I'm going to click on the door, and it's going to say a gate leads into the Rebel base, which is surrounded by a fence overgrown with vegetation. A hero may interact with the door. To open it, remember, a hero must be adjacent, which we are, and spend an action, which we can. So we're going to open this up now. All right, the gate opens onto a fenced courtyard where an ancient stone structure stands as one of the last remnants of a civilization that has appeared into the mists of disappeared into the mists of history. Open the door and place tiles 2, 38B, and 1 door. All right, so we're going to come right back in a few seconds. I'm going to have all this set up, and then we'll continue on. All right, and we're back. So we got everything all set up, and we'll go ahead and read the app. So the new tiles are out. We got this one right here. This one is labeled as 02A, and this one over here is 38B, and we've got a door ready to open up. So let's read the app, see what happens. So we've gone ahead and opened the door, placed those tiles. We can continue on. Incoming, we've got probe droids incoming. A probe droid hovers over the fence and into the courtyard. Just deploy a regular probe droid to the indicated space and assign this probe droid a color below. So let's just do gray for now, that's fine. Now what I'm going to do with this one is, because you're noticing there's another group of them coming out. So there's multiple groups of probe droids coming out. Now normally you would use a sticker to indicate these groups, but I haven't started painting or referencing all of the different miniatures in the game just yet. So normally remember that there'd be a sticker which would have a number or a color, and you can associate it that way. I'm going to kind of use a really weird way of doing it. The game comes with these, which are technically used, like we saw before, as kind of special tokens for other things. But I'm going to use it as a way to know what color a group they come from, and I'm just going to put it underneath of that particular miniature without having to actually, put a sticker on it for now, because I may be painting them in the future. So this first one's going to land right here, and it's going to be gray. So that's the way we're going to note which group it's from. So he'll be here. And then it says another probe droid follows the first over the fence. Deploy a regular probe droid assigned a color. So let's go with let's go with blue. That's probably a good idea. And I've got another one here. I can just use this, for example, as the blue. Where is it going to go? The colored rings around each of the probe droids' portraits on the right side of the screen help distinguish the two groups from each other. Oh, sorry. And actually, I just realized that the first one that came up was actually here, and the second one that came over the wall was here. So, because that makes a lot more sense. I just missed that when I was reading. So we'll put the second one right here. So the blue one's at the very back because it was the last one to come in. Gray one's up front. The colored rings around each of the probe droid portraits on the right side of the screen help distinguish the two groups from each other. When you defeat one of the groups, you make sure to defeat the correct group, that kind of thing. So pretty straightforward. One of the probe droids detects your presence and immediately strikes. The highlighted probe droid interrupts to perform an activation. Remember to get out the gray probe droid deployment cards for these groups for reference. So let's do that. Let's go into the deployment cards and find the droids, which I know are about halfway through here, I think. Yep. So we got two different groups. So technically you can really just use one card. Like, it's exactly the same. You can also use two groups if you want. I'm just going to use one. Really, you can do that however you want, but I'm okay with just having one version of this sitting on the table because they're both going to activate using the same card anyway. They use for their attacks a blue, 2 yellow, so I'm going to have those ready. So we'll put them like this. They also have for defense, they have a black die, so we'll put that there. So they've got all their dice ready to go. All right. The highlighted probe droid interrupts to perform an activation. Remember to get out. We did all that. So this is the guy that's going to activate, which is our front runner probe droid right here. He's going to end up coming over and probably trying to hurt us. So the colored bar below the probe droid's portrait indicates which of the two probe droids is attacking. So you can see it's gray. That would change to blue if it was a blue group. So we'll click on continue. The probe droid wants to attack with its first instruction, but it won't settle for the closest rebel as its target. It wants to attack the healthiest member of your squad. Let's see if it can. So we're going to go ahead and hit continue. So this is the best spot for the probe droid to attack from that it can reach with its 2 move instructions. So place the probe droid here. So really that makes a lot of sense. This activation is going to move him 1 and then 2, which is the closest he can get to any hero, which happens to be Jan right here. So now he's adjacent. So the probe droid is now in the indicated spot. And what's going to happen next? Oh, it's just showing you the actual movement on the screen. Imperial figures use targeting priority to determine who they'll attack, like we talked about before. Those symbols, the little brackets essentially, indicate the priority target for the attack. When an Imperial figure is given some criteria to determine its target, it will try to attack the target base that best fits that criteria. And if it can't for any reason, it will instead choose from the targets that it can attack, the one that best fits the criteria. Finally, if it can't do that, it attacks a target that fits the criteria. If it cannot attack a target that fits the criteria, it defaults to attacking the closest rebel. So regardless, it seems to be always closest. Assume for a moment that the probe droid cannot get line of sight to the hero who has suffered the least damage. Okay, so right now he can, because technically the least damage is Jin, so it's a perfect example, but let's just say hypothetically they can't. According to the target priority, it will attack the hero it does have line of sight to, and that has suffered the least damage. If it has line of sight to more than one hero with the same amount of damage, it will attack the closest hero with the least damage. So it's always closest first, it seems. All right, using the targeting priority, perform the probe droid's attack. Remember when spending surges to skip any surge abilities that would have no effect because this probe droid has suffered no damage, it will skip the recover ability. So there's a recovery ability over here in the priority list, and of course it's going to skip it if it hasn't been hit. So perform the attack and then select continue. So it's going to attack me. So essentially it's going to go blue, yellow, yellow. It's going to roll these die. Now it's attacking Jin. We're going to roll our white defensive die and see what happens. Okay. Well, I was hoping for a complete dodge. That would have been nice, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. This is a pretty nasty hit. It's quite a bit of damage there. So we're going to go ahead and hit continue, see what it says. Now that the probe droid has attack, it is going to try to engage you for its devious purposes when a figure is instructed, blah, 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 blah. Let's see, is this going to happen right now? Okay, so for now, we might as well resolve this because basically it's moving on to the next thing. So what we're going to do is resolve this actual attack. So first off, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's no surges whatsoever. So 4 damage is coming through to Jin. She has 1 block ability, so 3 is going to come through, and that's really it. They're adjacent, so the numbers don't matter. So 3 damage is coming through to her. So we'll resolve the actual first attack on her. So that was a pretty nasty hit she just took. And then now what's going to happen is we're going to resolve the rest of this because apparently the probe droid's not done yet. He gets a second thing he can do, and as you can see in that list below, it says move 2 to engage as many rebels as possible. So I think where it starts talking about this, it says, in this case, the probe droid wants to get adjacent to as many heroes as possible, and it will use the move keyword to do so. If a figure is instructed to engage something that it cannot get adjacent to with the movement points provided, it will skip that instruction. So if this case, it says move 2 to engage as many rebels as possible, minimum 1, it's already there, and moving 2 is not going to get any closer to the 2 of us combined. And then it says below here, I think it says if adjacent to rebel, end the activation. The probe droid is currently engaged with at least 1 hero. Yes, it is. If it can get adjacent to more than 1 hero with its 2 movement points, it will do so, as we mentioned. If it cannot, it stays where it is. Perfect. And even though it does not move at all, the probe droid is still considered to have performed the instruction, and thus its second action. It will not perform another instruction with an action symbol during this activation. That makes sense. So it did the first 2 and it's done. Carry out the second instruction for the probe droid if you have not already, and then click continue. Done. Bonus. Oh, there's a bonus thing here. This probe droid is determined to take you out by any means necessary, even if it means blowing itself to pieces. Oh, wonderful. Following the instructions in the bonus section of the Imperial activation window to have the probe droid self-destruct. Ugh, gross. So self-destruct 0 at the end of its activation. If the figure is adjacent to a rebel, which it is, roll 1 red die. Each adjacent rebel suffers damage equal to the damage results. Then the figure is defeated. Ugh, gross. So we're rolling a red die, and I think the worst we can get on this one, I think, is 3. So here's hoping that doesn't happen. Whew, almost did. So we got a surge, and surges don't matter on these particular ones because it's just talking about the damage. You're disregarding any surges on this attack. So it's 2 damage. So basically this guy exploded into thin air, causing 2 damage to Jin. So now she's definitely higher up than she was before. So now she's got 6. So we'll just quickly swap these out for a 5 and a 1 to make life easy. And I mean, Jin's life is not too easy right now. She just got a massive explosion right beside her, but that is now resolved, and that guy's off the map. We're going to probably have to not forget to actually remove the gray group from this app. It'll probably tell us to do that next. So we're going to go ahead and say, can I click on this? Defeat it? Yeah, let's defeat it. Perfect. Despite the ringing in your ears from the probe droid explosion, you hear Lieutenant Talcon's voice again. Take out that last probe droid. Complete the activation of the hero who opened the door. Ah, yes. So I was here, and oh geez, I gotta try to remember how much movement I had when I was last here. So if I remember correctly, I think I was here. Yes, I was, and I went 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 1 more move. So really, I could get as far as like here. And that's okay, because really I'm just trying to get as close as I can to this guy. Not necessarily as close as I can. I'm a ranged character, but I'm okay with coming 1 step into the door, because when I activate, I'm going to want to get into position for line of sight to take shots at this thing. All right, and so that objective that was just on screen a few seconds ago, basically defeat that last probe droid. So at this point in time, all of our activations are back, and really we just have to clear this probe droid out. So this is a perfect time to stop. We're gonna restart, or not restart, we'll pick this up in the next video here. We'll take that probe droid out, and then we're gonna head through this blast door and see what's in store for us behind it. So I hope you guys are enjoying the playthrough for Imperial Assault, at least the Legends of the Alliance tutorial. Remember though, guys, that we're not just playing through the tutorial. This is just to give people an idea of the rules and the flow of the game before we move into the actual campaign that was released with the app. That'll be really fun. So I hope you guys are enjoying. If you have any feedback or comments, let me know below. Give me a like or thumbs up if you enjoy what you're seeing and it's useful. And feel free to subscribe to the channel because it is growing, and I really appreciate all the support so far. Thanks again for watching, and keep on rolling solo.